Welcome to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Now, here's Ed Wilson with God's 5 Minutes.
Hello, friends. 2 Chronicles 32:1. After these things and the establishment thereof, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came and entered into Judah and encamped against the fenced cities and thought to win them for himself. The Revised Version has it this way: after these things and this faithfulness are the spiritual reformation Hezekiah had carried out so brilliantly and successfully. And here's what came of it: not blessings or prosperity, but Sennacherib, king of Assyria. The writer seems staggered by the fact, but actually, this royal experience is only a mirror of the experience of devout souls in all ages and a revelation of the great law and constant processes of the divine providence. It is at the heart of the mystery besetting the whole human race from murdered Abel onward. It seems we humans are hardwired to expect that doing good should bring divine bounty, doing evil brings the lightning. Many scriptures teach that. But there are qualifiers, and in this world there are good people who suffer unjustly, and bad people who seem to only increase in prosperity while being bad. The text gives us an example in the sharpest form of the mystery. After these things and this faithfulness, Sennacherib came. And he always comes in one way or another. None of our goodness can lever us above the ordinary associations and laws of life. If a person has a birth defect, his devotion will likely not rebuild his body. A person of low intelligence probably can't get religious enough to become a Wall Street wizard. One who works at a trade that is being made obsolete will find prayers alone won't bring prosperity. Everywhere it is clear that the godly man is involved like any other man in the ordinary contingencies and possible evils of life. Then have we to say that God has nothing to do with these things? Hezekiah's story teaches us how second causes are God's instruments. There are two sources of the history of Judah in his time. One is the Bible, the other is the Assyrian monuments. And it is a fascinating contrast to read the two stories of the same events, agreeing out the facts, but disagreeing completely in the spirit. One tells a story from the world's point of view, and the other from God's. So the monuments say simply this: there was a conspiracy in the south against the political supremacy of Assyria, and a lot of little Confederate kinglets got together, and Hezekiah of Judah was one. And they leaned upon Egypt, and I, Sennacherib, came down among them, and they tumbled to pieces, and that is all. Then the Bible comes in to tell us that God ordered all those political complications, that they were all the working out of his purposes, and that the axe in his hand, as Isaiah said so picturesquely, was this proud king of Assyria with his boastful mouth and vainglorious words. That is the guiding principle by which we Christians should look at all that befalls us. It is possible to see life's peaks and valleys from the underside or from the top. To see from the underside is to not comprehend a guiding hand skillfully making careful choice of the tools of blessing and adversity to improve our character and fit us for another world. To see it from above is to develop quiet faith and deep trust, so we will say, "It is the Lord, let him do." Even when he does it through Sennacherib and his like, let him do what seemeth him good. Another thing, the more faithful a person is, the more sure is he to bring down upon himself certain forms of trouble. Those things which from the Assyrian side of the river were seen as only a political revolt, from the Jordan side seemed to be closely linked with religious reformation. It was just because Hezekiah and his people came back to God that they rebelled against the king of Assyria. Even so, if we will live like Christian men and women in defiance of the sinfulness all about us, in the end, all that happened to Hezekiah was for his faith to be built and his respect for people of God to increase, and so it will be with us.
You have been listening to God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson. Reach him by email at GodsFiveMinutes@gmail.com. Tune in next time to hear more encouraging thoughts from God's Word on God's 5 Minutes with Pastor Ed Wilson.